Well, we are at the top of the hour, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is Tech Commission, and we are meeting virtually because of the COVID crisis. Welcome, everybody. Just wanted, before we get started, and welcome our guests officially. Any public comment? All right, hearing none, we want to officially welcome Joe Pelton and Indu Singh. It's delightful to have you join us. And as we indicated in the agenda, they're here to brief us on the state incubator and telecom network demonstration systems of smart city initiatives. So we're delighted that you could be here, and we look forward to hearing about the demonstration. So welcome. And Indu, feel free if you'd like to start sharing. That'd be
Okay, let me see. Let me see. Open the share tray. Okay. Can you see it?
Not yet. We can't. We love technology.
Yes.
There's a little bit of a delay, I've noticed, so we'll see.
Let's see.
Let's try again.
I love the sign we used to have in the laboratory at the University of Colorado. It said, "We love standards." We have so many of them.
Okay.
Well, it's really good to have you back home, Joe.
Well,
Let's
it's
see.
interesting to see what you and Frank have done moving forward. And I do feel
I'm going to try again for some
9
reason.
years of servitude were of some value.
Oh, it seems like yesterday, Joe.
Okay.
Well,
All right. So I'm going to try again and see what is going on here. For some reason, it didn't take it first time.
All right. We'll try and do.
Screen.
Welcome
if
back,
that
Mike.
doesn't work, could I've sent the presentation to you. Could you share the screen and Indu could just say next slide?
Oh, no. I'm okay. Yeah. Sometimes if I don't have the control, it doesn't allow because you guys are
Yes,
in a
the understanding was there was, I asked about whether you guys could do it. And the
public
understanding was
environment.
it was that was a possible that you all were able to. So
Yeah, because
we'll
I'm doing that and I see it, but you are not seeing it.
right. Why don't we here? And I'm
Let's try
the only
one
one
more.
who can let people in. So let me
Yeah.
do that. Why don't could you, Frank, do you have it? Can you share it? What, because I'm going to be letting people in as we go back and forth.
I don't have it readily available. No.
Okay. All right. Let's
You can't see it, right? Because I have it, but yeah, I think it's blocking me somewhere.
right. All right. Let's see. Why don't we and I saw it on the screen. Why don't
Is Kate able to?
No, she cannot.
No.
And Angela wasn't able to be here tonight, so that's where let's see. And I want to get it onto my desktop. It's going to be easier. So let's see. But let's see. And Indu, why don't you start and then let us work on getting the presentation up.
Okay. So
All
I
right?
can start that. Yeah. So yeah, I can even make this presentation without slides, but I wanted to be a little more
Yeah.
professional.
No, understand. We'll
That's
get it.
not a problem. But what we are really going to talk about today is the what we call the Smart City Testbed. That's the nickname. Actually, the formal name is Virginia Smart Community Testbed. It is located in Stafford County, Virginia, and we started it in 2020, and then when pandemic came, then everything kind of slowed down all of a sudden. So we struggled in the first year.
And your sound is not so it's breaking up.
Yeah. So where is that echo coming from? It's not from me. Is anybody on the cell or anything? Yeah, I hear from somebody. Okay.
That's
Still there?
better. So go ahead.
Still there, or you're okay? Yeah. Somebody typing something? Okay. Yeah, it's gone. Okay. Is that clear now?
It is clear, Indu.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So we started in 2020, and it started as a. It's very interesting. So first thing that we did, that we had, with the help of the Commonwealth of Virginia entity called, then it used to be called CIT. Most of you will know them by the name of CIT. They have renamed this year to VIPC, Virginia um, Innovation Partnership Corporation. It used to be CIT, and it was near Dallas Airport. If you drove there, you saw that black building, and that's where they used to be. Now they have moved to Richmond, Virginia, so on the capital city. So anyway, so they asked us to really design a what is called Stafford Smart Town Center, which is going to be on 23 acres plus another 5 acres, which a private developer is going to do that. And that will be the new downtown for Stafford, because Stafford doesn't have a downtown or any town. So the idea was to make it a smart. So we did the engineering, we designed it, and then they asked me what's the next. And so I went to Dave Airy, who is the CTO of VIPC. I said, what we really need to do, since the governor at that time also came out, Governor of Virginia, and said, I want to build Virginia as number one in the smart cities across the Commonwealth. And so what's the best approach? So we came up with the idea, Dave and I jointly, to really stand up what we call a smart city test bed. And idea was to bring in all the new technologies, integrate those technology, develop the proof of concept, and actually develop the solutions that can be implemented in a Stafford Smart Town Center, but will also be available to all counties and cities across the Commonwealth. And that remains the main principle of what we do there. So whatever we do there is all available to you all. Okay. So we did that, and we had the first anniversary on actually not the first anniversary, but the inauguration last year on May 25th. Inauguration was delayed because of the COVID restrictions. And we have a first anniversary coming up on June 8th. So we really have, in 2 years, we have progressed quite a bit. And so that is what we want to talk about, how it evolved, what have we been doing there, and how can Arlington County benefit from it? Because everything that is being done there is available to you as it is available to all 92 other counties, right? And when county come to participate in it, actually, uh, most often, at least for the pilot project, they are mostly funded by VIPC or other partners, but county per se, they don't have to put any money in it. So the counties are taking advantage of that. Stafford County,
Sorry to interrupt, but also there are possibilities of federal grants as well from Homeland Security and other
yes,
agencies,
yeah.
correct?
You are absolutely right. So what I was going to say, so what actually has this test bed now has evolved. It was Commonwealth and Fairfax County um, that really were the major stakeholders, because Fairfax County gave us the building. Our old 7-Eleven building on Route 7 is, we remodel it, and that is the center, independent building. That's where the test bed is. And then the Fed came, and DHS came in first because they made a note of it. And so actually they have become a major funder of projects, and we'll talk about some of the projects that we are doing for DHS, which is relevant to at the national level, not only at the county level in Virginia. So that's been happening. And since then, so what we have now, we have the federal government in it, we have the state government in it, Virginia, and then we have the counties in it. And these are the major stakeholders. But we also created, yeah, there you go. You got it. Thank you, Mary. Can you see?
Yes.
See? Yeah, thank God we still have control. Somebody controls. Like, you know,
Just let me
information
know
has
where.
to be
Just let
information
me
has
know.
to be controlled.
Yeah, Indu, where would you like it?
This is
What slide?
perfect. This is perfect. So this
Okay.
I'll give the transition here. So we'll talk about what is our concept and objectives. What value does it bring to the community and to the Commonwealth? Who are some of the key sponsors? We'll share quickly with you what we accomplished in the first phase, which is fundamentally 2020 to 2021. And then what we are doing now in what I call phase two, which is 2022 to 2023. And Joe and I have some ideas as to how I really think Arlington can benefit. Let me put a personal note there. I know Arlington because of Joe and because I have been there and I have worked with on multiple occasions. I had the opportunity with Jack. I have to tell you that Arlington, among the counties, and now this is me from the private sector point of view, Arlington is a flagship county when it's come to technology applications and adoption. You are much ahead than I will say, I venture out to say most counties in the Commonwealth, even Maryland, to a large extent. So you're very innovative. Um, Maybe because the per capita there is very smart people living in Arlington. Maybe that is the reason. But I live in Fairfax, so. But I think so. You are advanced, but that doesn't mean you cannot benefit from what we are doing, because for a couple of reasons. One is the technologies are changing rapidly, and second thing is that technological risks have really grown. So more you adopt technology today, more you expose yourself to the risk, and those risks have to be managed. So that's what the test bed is all about, and so we'll talk about that. So I'll go to next slide and quickly explain to you what our concept is. I think Mary's on mute, so maybe she will advance the slide.
I did advance the slide. You can't see it?
No, it didn't move.
All right, let me let people in and then see. It didn't move. Okay, let's try again then.
It moved.
Okay, now can you see the test bed concept?
Yes.
I can't. I'm stuck on agenda slide for some reason.
Huh, because I can see it. I think everyone else can see it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know what it is, but I would not worry about me. So
I think you've seen the slide before, Indu, so we're
yes,
good.
I've seen the slide before. So I will open my own slide and see if that interferes with you. No, it don't interfere with you. Um, this is embarrassing. I don't know what. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's and you can see the slides, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect then. So I'm going to. So the Virginia Smart Community Test with the concept. So you see a box in the left, you see the box in the right. The left side is basically this is how the test bed things are done in the test bed. So we have a smart city ecosystem where fundamentally we define the components of it. What are the things that we want to do? And then we go to the next phase, which is technology and security, selecting those technology and looking at the security aspect of it, IoT security, fundamentally to a large extent. And then we really develop the pilot projects in the test bed, which is proof of concept, and then that leads to particular solution, right? Yes or no. Is it useful? It is implementable. Is it the right thing? How do you implement it? How do you use it? And then we draw the lessons learned, and that's how the county can really benefit from it. So for example, can take 5G, we can take IoT flood sensors, we can take fire sensors, environmental, any a lot of sensors nowadays that we use, right? All of these projects are going on drones, and then we can really develop the use case, do the proof of concept, which is pilot project, and then go to implementation. The right side, what you see is our collaborative framework, because from day one, I designed this to be public-private partnership, right? Because that's where the benefits are. This is the unique thing. In today's technological environment, if you want to manage the risk and you want to get the ROI, return on investment in technology, in my viewpoint, it has to be public-private partnership because the innovation and technologies are coming from the private sector and ultimate beneficiary is the community. And when you put that together, that's what we have done in the test bed. So what you see is exactly what I said. Here is an integrated view of what the test bed actually looks like in a uh, not in a metaverse, but in the real world. Okay, and so the focus is on a smart city, as you see on the top, and the tools are all based on the new technology. So IoT, 5G, artificial intelligence, machine
I
learning.
think you need to advance the slide, Mary.
Yep.
Yes,
Slide
okay,
four.
good.
Slide four.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you on slide four?
Yes.
Okay. So those are the tools and the technologies. The key stakeholders are the main stakeholders. So the I left the word CIT there. That should be VIPC, the new name. Stafford County, and major contributors are really again VIPC, Stafford County, OST, which is a corporate partner, DHS, Verizon, Cisco. This is to name a few. Okay. We look at the needs of the community in the counties, in the public sector, in the government, and develop solutions. And so what you see in the middle with the blue mark there, on the right-hand side, you have list of these are selected partners who are participating. They bring their technology, we develop the pilot with them, and then we develop the solutions with them, okay? And then you have the Stafford County, which has really given us the facility, and they have already implemented some of the projects that we talk about. So that is the approach, and this is the integrated view of the test bed. I'll go to slide number 5, and let's talk about value. Because the end of the day, with Arlington County point of view or Stafford County point of view, because you are the end user, what value does the test bed bring to you? So what we did, we selected the areas where we believe are the burning issues. This is where we need to be able to use this technology to solve the problems. So, for example, public safety. Public safety is a big area and it's changing now with the new technology. For example, one technology that we selected is the drones, and drones are making a big difference in public safety and emergency management. So we developed a pilot project in the first year, and we did the pilot working with the public safety department of the Stafford County, and they were very happy. Now we're going to the implementation phase. IoT security. So what is happening, if you read the Gartner report or Cisco report on IoT, the number of IoT devices are growing, right? And so what is happening, their estimates are we're close to about 50 billion IoT devices worldwide, and it's growing 15 to 20% per year. That is not manageable, and the risks are very high because cyber risk, as you know, are very high, and IoT devices are all vulnerable to that. So IoT security is one of the key things that we are doing in the testbed. DHS came to us, and they have given us a contract to really look at IoT security issues, actually IoT as well as ICS, Industrial Control System. So we're looking at that. That report is coming out very soon, which will be shared by all the counties and all the government agencies. We are also developing another report for DHS, which is what is called the best practices for procurement. So they have asked us to develop the IoT best practices that is going to go to all procurement officers in the federal agencies. So when they issue the RFP or when their team does the evaluation, they have what we're calling it IoT security playbook, and so it will be available. So there'll be multiple, and then come July, we're going to be going into phase 2, which is going to go into more technical architecture and new reference model and all those things, because what you have, IoT and ICS are merging, the SCADA systems and all those things, and that convergence is creating a new approach to managing the security. So we're working on that. Other new technology are looking at in related to smart health. For example, we have projects that we have launched with Verizon called Smart Health and Connected Ambulance, where we're bringing in 5G into it, we're bringing in telehealth into it, and so a lot of stuff is really in the we're making ambulance real time, intelligent, with using artificial intelligence and ML, all of those things in that to taking the healthcare to the next level. And so that's another area where it's a tremendous value to the community, and one area perhaps will interest Arlington. Intelligent traffic management, of course. What is the biggest problem where we live in Northern Virginia? The traffic management. And so there is a lot of interest both for the federal government agencies, VDOT, and the state government, and the counties, as to how we can really go into, migrating from a current state to what we call intelligent traffic management, which is largely going to be driven by artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so there are projects in that area. And then we're looking at smart community projects like the smart health, the smart school. Those projects are also evolving with multiple partners. Okay, so that's where we see the value. So what I want to conclude here in terms of really conveying one key message related to the value. The test bed is not an R&D center. It is not a research and development center. It is what I call the solution center, where we test the technology, complete the integration, and develop the solution that can be implemented in real time by the clients.
Andrew, should we be on slide 6?
Now we're going to slide 6,
Okay.
right there. So what have we accomplished so far in 2 pandemic years with a lot of limitations? Three stakeholders that we already talked about, they remain committed to what we do. The public-private partnership has grown much bigger. So we started with few, and now we have 22 private partners. We have uh, 3 federal agencies in it, and there are more coming. So DHS is there, NASA is coming, Navy is already there, and DoD, FBI, Marine Corps, and few others. Um, we have received key commitments from major technology partners, the Verizon. So the Verizon, for example, we are the first county or city in the nation where there is a 5G test bed, and the Verizon put their 5G test bed in that. So we're doing some very interesting things with that. That'll be another area of interest to Arlington County and you folks and Jack. We we are also very close to Cisco, who is going to bring in a lot of things in cybersecurity area. So that is also happening. They're also a major partner. So what we call platinum partners. So Verizon, Cisco, these are companies that have a lot to offer, but they are platinum partners. Initial focus has been on public safety. It has been on IoT security. So public safety, we already talked about. We did the drone pilot project. Now we're going to the second phase, and then we did what is called the biggest technology today that is much talked about, and federal government is pushing for it since President Biden came to the White House and he issued an executive order on implementation of what is called zero trust system for cyber solutions. And so we did the first pilot project on a zero trust, brought in a company called Enclave, and tested their system. And it was so successful that the Stafford County came and they said, we like this implemented on our network. And this is another thing that I think the Jack will be very interested in. He understands the value of zero trust. And zero trust right now is much talked about solution for cybersecurity. So we ran that pilot, we implemented it. Now Stafford County is looking to expand the implementation of zero trust for the water system, the sewer system, and traffic management, all those things. So it has applications in everything. So that was a very successful pilot project. And then we launched the IoT security pilot project also. So that is going on. and then we had the first inauguration on the 25th of May last year. So, this was, so to summarize the accomplishments of the first 2 years, even though we are fighting pandemic, we built the partnership, public-private partnership, Strong Bay, made it a kind of national test bed because you have federal, state, and local government in it, and the private sector coming in it. We chose the key technology and developed the proofs of concept. And not only that, we met our objective of developing the solutions and then implementing it in the real life. And now other counties are looking to do the same thing. Now I'm going to go to slide number 7. Everybody has slide number 7?
Yes.
So now this is going to frame where we're heading now. We have our first anniversary celebration on June 8th. And so I was asked to say, okay, where do we go from here? So we had a visit from the Deputy Assistant Secretary of DHS about 3 months ago. And he said, Indu, okay, this is very impressive what has been done. We are delighted to be a partner in this, and particularly it's a great deal of interest to us because you have a state and local government participating in it along with the private corporation. This is the model that we want. Can this be scaled at the national level? And so he gave us the challenge. And so just not to talk too much about that because I can't talk too much. It's ongoing right now. But I developed a concept of what is called, so the Stafford testbed is going to become the national testbed. And then we are building innovation hubs across the country. So right now, 3 innovation hubs are being slotted. One is going to be in Ketchikan, Alaska. And I chose that because that's where I go fishing. No, just joking. I do go there fishing every year. I'm going in August again. Um, so I developed the concept of innovation hub that is really based on 2 principles. Okay, one is it has to be geographically centric. Okay, and the secondly, it has to be demographically centric. Okay, for 2 reasons. And you folks can relate to this because Arlington has talked about this before, and I participated in some of the seminars. The digital equity is a big issue now. Okay, as a society, we do have to look at that because the new technologies. Plug my computer, my battery is low here, so no problem. Wire is right here. Just give me a second, please. Okay, I'm good. So I had this, I'm proponent of digital equity. Okay, and I really think as a society it has emerged as a major issue because the same digital technology that has been delivering tremendous benefit to us is also creating a significant gap between what in old days used to call rich and the poor. But let me put it this way. The digitally divided society is emerging. And unless we really pay attention to it, it's going to be a major issue, in my viewpoint, in economic sense and political sense as well. So keeping that in mind, the Alaska is going to be, we're going to be doing things there, developing solutions that is really going to be focused on the Alaska Native community. There are 272 federally recognized Native American communities in Alaska. They are about 15% of Alaska's population. Um, I go there. I have traveled across Alaska. I can tell you that most of those communities look like third world. Okay, and so I brought in a company called Cape Fox, which is owned by the tribes from Ketchikan. Brought them as a partner, and we're going to be federal government gave them $9 million to build a new building and technology center. They were not able to do anything with it, so I'm taking over that building, working with this company and the community and DHS and others, and we're going to build the innovation center there. First project in a rapid sense, I want to say, is really on healthcare, because I think in terms of digital equity, health particularly has to be on the top of the agenda. So we are going to be introducing a new concept called smart health and connected ambulance. And that'll be the pilot project we'll be doing there. Another innovation hub that I'm involved in developing is going to be in Carolinas. So brought in North Carolina, South Carolina. It will be based in Greensboro, North Carolina. Brought in the underserved African American community and the mainland Native Indian community, and put them together. And we'll be doing exactly the same thing that going to be doing in Ketchikan. Again, their focus is first one is going to be a smart health and connected ambulance. Brought in a local hospital service provider called Atrium. They are participating in that. Verizon is participating in that. AWS, Amazon is participating in that. And again, this is going to be linked to the Stafford test bed at the national level. And the third one is going.
Andrew, I
Go
think
ahead.
you should wrap up so we have a few minutes
Okay.
for
Yeah,
questions, but we
I'm
have only
almost
30 minutes.
I'm almost there.
Okay.
And the third one is going to be Hoboken, New Jersey, because this center is going to be what is called the urban center, because more than 50% of the population living in urban areas, their needs are very different and their issues are very different. So that's going to be focused on that. Two more things that we just introduced, and that's going to be inaugurated on the 8th. We introduced SOC as a service, Cyber Security Operations Center, and also quantum computing. And we're going to be the first in the country to integrate quantum for cybersecurity through the SOC. So that's a flagship project. That's my main project now. So and then the federal and the state government coming in. We'll go to the last slide now, which is how Arlington County can benefit. So we invite Arlington County and you all to participate in the pilot projects that is relevant to you and to Arlington County. Either we can come up with the idea, give you that, or you can come up with the idea. We can work on that. Second one is possibly Arlington might, some of the things we can do with the drones area, drone for public safety and security, IoT security. It can be telehealth, telemedicine, all of those things, smart parking. All these areas are really poised for collaboration between Arlington County and the test bed. We'll be happy to work with the IT, ITAC, and also Arlington DTS to identify, key pilot projects. Like I said, you guys can come up with the ideas, or we can together develop that. What's the ultimate benefit? Ultimate benefit is as a nation, as a county, as a city, we're all heading toward the same direction, what we call digital transformation, right? And I think the digital transformation is a key, is going to happen, is happening, but we have to make a note of that. Recently, I spoke at the Air Force a conference in Dayton, and this is the last thing I want to say, Joe, that it was on digital transformation because the DoD has taken the lead, and they asked me to really, provide some thought leadership on. So I see two things happening in the nation: digital transformation and cultural transformation. And I think we will miss the boat. That was my main message. If we miss the boat, we'll miss the boat if we just focus on digital transformation, which is technology driven, and ignore the cultural transformation, because these are both independent forces, and at times they collide. And when they collide, that's when you have the digital equity or inequity issues evolving. So digital migration has to be in a planned way, and and the test bed can contribute to this. So that's the approach. So I'm going to stop there on slide 8 and uh, use my last slide, which is really thank you, and happy to answer questions.
Mm.
So, Mary, could I just make one comment? I know that uh, a few years back, we really had some major concerns about the security of the SCADA system and the fact that various different agencies had different levels of security on the water systems and other systems the county was using.
Mhm.
I do think that it would be good to have an update on where the security systems are and whether there's switching off of SCADA to IoT systems, and whether that might be an area that could be looked at.
And Richard is with us from DTS County staff. So Richard, do you want to comment on SCADA assessment? So Joe is up to
Sure.
speed.
You can pose any questions you like, but I'm walking a fine line here in my response. I will not speak about operational security in recorded public meetings.
Right.
Okay. So in this type of forum, it's not an appropriate place to discuss what we're doing in various parts of our operational technologies. But if the board is interested, I can do sessions with the board privately where I can get into very detailed conversations about these topics.
Thank you. Good. Indu, thank you. And I'm sure there, if you all wouldn't mind staying for a couple of questions, I'm sure that
Sure.
our team, full complement team has some. So I will open it up to the commission members who has a question. Anyone have a follow-up question?
So can I ask a question?
Sure, Indu.
Okay. So obviously, I want to make sure it's clear that I'm not trying to sell anything here. Okay. Um, because of my relationship with Joe and Jack, long-term relationship, because I'm so impressed by the advancement in terms of infrastructure, the investment that Arlington has made, you are poised to go to the next level. You will be the leader among the counties in Virginia for digital transformation, and you should be. So I really think that you ought to look at what I have to say as an opportunity to collaborate and test and verify some of the things, Richard, that you're already planning to do or you're doing it. This is an opportunity. Second thing is that the best part is at no cost to you, because I will make, in some cases, DHS, in some cases, VIPC, the Commonwealth of Virginia, pay for it. At least the pilot, not the implementation. Implementation will be your job, but the pilot. And I have shared this with David Eardy, CTO of VIPC. He knows that I'm making this presentation. So um, he's committed. We're partners, and I'm there to help. Um, so I just want to make sure that I'm not misunderstood. I'm not
Mhm.
selling anything here.
Mhm.
I'm coming in as an outsider. I want to see that digital that Arlington continues to benefit in terms of where the Commonwealth is investing, where the federal government is investing, and take advantage of that.
So you have 4 questions in the queue, Indu, so Martha is first.
Okay, thank you. In the past, we talked about partnering, doing something special with healthcare. Has
Yes.
what's happened with that?
So the one that we had talked about was we're going to bid on a National Science Foundation project, and pandemic kind of really got in the way, and we have advanced much more than what we were talking about then. So my recommendation will be to revisit that, because I think healthcare is definitely one area where you have interest, we have interest, a lot of changes taking place, and it's a low-hanging fruit where every citizen can see the benefit.
Mm. Jackie, you're next.
Yeah, just to, I guess, first reaction. I think something like this, and it seems like this is the only something like this, is something that would be appropriate to include in a digital plan. So one of the things that the digital plan we've been advocating for should include is methods for testing and prior to implementation. We certainly have some testing that we've been doing here, and there have been issues with that. So this is another way of doing testing without it being in a specific location in Arlington that would, I think, be advantageous, particularly for something that's going to be of concern to the community, like drones, for example. So if you have a use case that's well established and tested somewhere else that you can refer citizens to, I think that would be an advantage as part of your digital planning.
Mhm. Thanks,
That's a
Jackie.
very good point.
Mhm. John?
Thanks. I just scanned through the report that you put out on the Zero Trust Systems pilot. I think Zero Trust in cyber is always job zero when it comes to an IT shop. So I'm just curious, from a process standpoint, did Stafford select or evaluate different options for the component that's referred to as the Enclave blockchain, which seems to be as a proprietary product that enables the Zero Trust network? Or how did that, is it that you've got Enclave as a partner and you're looking for people to pilot with, or did Stafford say, we're looking to implement Zero Trust, let's go out and look at different products that might help us do that?
So actually, it was other way around. We went to Stafford, and I said, "Hey, would you be interested in piloting Zero Trust?" Because we were going to pilot Zero Trust with or without a Stafford. And so we have an executive committee for the test, but there are 4 people on that. It's me, a CIT CTO, David Erie, Arlington, the Stafford County CTO, that's Mike Cannon, and John Holden, who is the director of economic development. And so fundamentally, I'm the guy who develops the use cases. I'm the one who brings the partners, the technology. I go to the executive committee and say, here are the 5 things on the table. Tell us which one you would like to do. And the executive committee selects those. Zero trust, because there is so much focus on zero trust that it was really, they grabbed it. Okay. And they said, let's run this pilot. And Mike Cannon said, okay. So here was the problem. Right before that, the National Guard came and did the security audit of the Stafford County, and they found gaps.
Yeah. So the specific,
So,
just to
so
the
that
specific.
is what prompted them for zero trust.
Yeah. So no, the specific question I'm interested in is the selection of the Enclave blockchain product as part of the pilot. Was that part of the package deal when you proposed it? Was that selected during the pilot definition? And how typically does that work for pilot projects that you run?
So there are 2 ways that we do pilot. One is that we go out and select the technology and therefore the vendor, or the vendor partners can come to the test bed and they can propose.
So it
Okay.
works either way.
And we work both ways.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Martha, is that an old hand or a new hand? And then Phil, you're after Martha if she has a new question.
Old hand.
Old hand. Okay, so Phil, over to you.
Yeah, the question for Indu and Joe, trying to increase the level of specificity just a little bit. What single, very concrete project comes to mind that would be an ideal application to benefit Arlingtonians that might be asked of the Stafford test bed comes to mind? Can you think of anything that's compelling?
Joe, you want to talk
I'll
first?
start.
I'm not so much thinking about as of a technology, but rather as a benefit to the people here.
Well, I'll start. I do think that the security upgrade might be a good place to start. As I say, there was a problem with the SCADA system being distributed among many departments and so on. And so that might be one issue, just to see where we are in terms of security, whether there's an IoT-based system that could be or should be implemented or what have you, is one area. When we met with Jack a few years back, we were talking about certain communities in the Arlington area that had special needs and so on, and that several of those had been identified by Jack and by others. That again, sometimes it's best to go to the community and say, hey, here are some new capabilities. Which one do you think would help your community, rather than going to the community and saying, here's what we're going to do for you. So I really do think that a good place to start would be to do some surveys to get a feeling for what the community priorities might be. One thing while I have the floor is that I think that if there were interest of members of the IT advisory group to go and see the test bed, that could be arranged with Indu.
Yes,
Field trip,
absolutely. Absolutely.
road trip.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Obviously, we went over the time. I appreciate you all staying with us. And you've given us a food for thought, and we have you don't mind we circulate the deck in you and
Absolutely.
Joe. All right, we will do that. And then we will loop back after we've had an opportunity to think about what you've briefed us on.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. You
Yeah.
take care. Great to
Yeah.
see you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Getting back to the next on the agenda. John, do you have a safety innovation zone update?
So I've got a verbal update, which is that we're still waiting on confirmation about the path forward for our relationship with the Safety and Innovation Zone project. We met last week or the week before. I can't tell because time is a flat circle.
COVID.
COVID, only small children. And we had provided, Sharon and I had provided a version of the report that we felt comfortable supporting, try and eliminate any concern about any recommendations that would be viewed as controversial that the county wouldn't support. I think the county's position was essentially that the product is a staff product, and so not really appropriate for board quote unquote approval. We agreed that it would be great if they could come and present the report to us for our official feedback. There was some concern about whether that could be done in a way that wouldn't make the report public because they're not sure when or whether the report is going to be made public. And I reminded them that we do have we are subject to open meeting laws, and so I didn't know that they could share the report with us without also making it public. So that's where we're at. I got a note from Holly. I asked if we could find, from Jamie, asked if we could know whether that was going to be possible by tonight, and she indicated that she wasn't able to get on people's calendars until this Friday. So still pending a decision on that. I think all of the recommendations that are in the report, if we're not able to see the report publicly in the near future or by the next meeting, would be things that I could draft and provide as a letter from the Tech Commission as policy advice to the board, independent of the report. And I think Sharon and I also have some other lessons learned that are above and beyond privacy that we would want to include in our policy recommendations as a result of this project. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Great. Thanks so much, John. Legislative update. Frank.
Aaron, can I hold us on the John thing just for a minute?
Yes.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
And I just wanted to add to John's report on CIS. I did actually sit in on that meeting last week, and I think they wanted to make perhaps two presentations to us. First, sort of a context of where the pilot is, and also then on the report itself. Secondly, assuming approvals, had been obtained from the county manager for both. So, and I think there still seems to be, that the report would be shared. It would go to the manager first, and then at his discretion be shared with the board. But I think John made the point that the county board, at least certain members, fully expect to get a report on it. Get the report. Isn't that right, John? I think.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, in all their public statements, and in fact, the statements that are on these Amazon, our liaison member Karen Tonis specifically said we should be getting a report soon. That's my read of their expectations. So.
Yeah. No,
Richard, do you have a comment?
I can fill in a little bit just to
Mm-hmm.
reinforce what John has shared. I had a quick conversation with a couple of folks come before this meeting about, what the contours around this decision are. And it really is that the report and the advice has all been on the manager's side of the house. And this group is on the board side of the house. And so there is that intentional firewall between the two sides, and we're navigating how we proceed without kind of breaking our rules about how one side speaks and interacts with the other. So there are intentional conversations happening around this just to determine what the best pathway forward is, but it isn't a typical situation we see as far as how we have people on a board constituted group working on a manager constituted project, if that makes sense. And so, we're navigating it, and we hope to know more soon.
Thank you. Mike, you had a comment or a question
Yeah,
for John?
I guess two comments now. In response to what was just said, I'll say from a citizen's point of view, I'm sure there's an expectation that the board and the manager will figure it out in a way that is beneficial to the citizens and not such a, I'd say, assumed oppositional thing. And secondly, I would say every organization I've ever worked in had some fairly complicated way to take a work in progress that was indeed staff work inside the organization, not intended to be made public. And then they have a formal process in which they say, okay, this is a draft, and we're seeking the advice of people we often seek advice from, and sometimes they say from the public. But this doesn't seem like a novel problem. This happens in every bureaucracy I've ever worked at. And so this is going to come up over and over again, especially in information technology, but I think anything that the county does. So how does the county normally do? Obviously, the board. So everything must originate with either the manager or the board or some appointed official, and then reach a point at which people say, we need to start checking with folks about this, and the batting order in which we check is really important, and there's some kind of chain of command here. What's the normal way?
So my response would be that those muscles are very well developed in parts of the county that regularly work on product that is for public consumption. I think in the Department of Technology, it is not an everyday occurrence for us to interact directly with the public or to publish things directly to the public. We are largely an internal support organization. So our muscles are not as strong as some of those departments that do this for many daily basis. We do this on an occasional basis. And I think that's where we're learning as we walk through this process exactly some lessons that other departments probably know better than we do. We're learning those now.
All right. All right. Thanks for the clarification. And Frank, legislative priorities.
Yes. The continuing broadband struggle. Nearly 24 broadband service providers, including our friends at Comcast and Verizon, have committed to providing high-speed broadband service of at least 100 megabits per second in connection with the $30 monthly subsidy offered under the American Connectivity Program, ACP. A new website, getinternet.gov, has been launched on how to sign up for ACP. There are income-based eligibility requirements to participate in ACP. For example, 200% of the poverty level or participation in existing programs such as SNAP and federal public housing assistance. So I think I just saw that ACP had something like 11 million people signed up, or households signed up. So it's a very successful program so far. The FCC is circulating a declaratory ruling that would make E-rate federal funds available for Wi-Fi on school buses. This is in addition to the temporary emergency connectivity fund program, which covered Wi-Fi on school buses as part of COVID relief measures. So this would make that a permanent part of the E-rate program. Verizon and T-Mobile, separately now, on another item, Verizon and T-Mobile have added 530,000 fixed wireless access FWA 5G home broadband subscribers in the first quarter of 2022, which constitutes nearly half of the net increase in broadband subscribers and is a nationwide, so that would be wireline and wireless total combined for over 1 million net increase in broadband subscribers, and it represents a 5-fold increase over the number of FWA subscribers added in the first quarter of 2021. Our neighbors across the river, Washington, D.C., has entered into partnerships with internet service providers giving access to put antennas on city-owned rooftops if the ISPs agree to provide reduced or no-cost connections to households eligible for the federal Affordable Connectivity Program, ACP. One provider, WeLink, will provide gigabit symmetric broadband service. Back to cybersecurity. The House has passed and sent to President Biden. It's a bill that had previously been passed by the Senate for signature, a law that directs Department of Homeland Security sharing to improve more information and coordination with state, local, and tribal governments. So that's my report for this month.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions for Frank? Any follow-up questions based on the brief? Richard?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it on your agenda yet, but the public meeting rules for the Commonwealth are back in play, I guess is the best way to describe it. I will be attending a training in the next few weeks on what the rules are for commission meetings as far as in-person quorums, how you can do hybrid meetings, and how frequently you can do those meetings. But just to be aware that is on the agenda, there are, I guess I would call them rollbacks coming to the amount of virtual meetings that we're allowed to do for commissions. So please put that on your agendas for research and comment, because I'm sure you will all have views on the proposals that we've seen, and I'll know more in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and Richard, to add to that, the commission chairs met and were briefed, and we were that'll be part of my chair update. So but thank you for flagging it. And they mentioned that you all hadn't gotten briefed yet and would soon. So so we're all catching up. The next on our agenda is legislative priorities. Just what we just want to do is flag that usually they'll ask us for legislative priorities, the county board, in July. And what that is for those who are new on the commission, basically the county board will ask for each of the commissions to submit 3 or 4 priorities from their perspective. Then they pull it together, they look at it, and the county board collectively makes recommendations and talks about it from a Northern Virginia perspective, right? What they believe the legislative priorities. They also do it on the, as Richard knows well, they do it on the staff side as well. They ask the staff for what do you think is really important. So we'll spend some time in June talking about that, but we just wanted to give you a heads up about the things, and we'll share again what we submitted last year. It was 4, I think 4 priorities from Tech Commission perspective, and just so you all can be thinking about what you think our items should be. And one of them, as a matter of fact, was this discussion about virtual meetings, because I think we've gotten incredible participation in a virtual mode, and that was the shared that was the consensus when the commission chairs met as well. So So just wanted to give you all a heads up on that. The next one is the draft letter about local governments purview, what local government can do in relation to digital privacy. Thank you all for the work. You all worked. There were lots of hands pulling this together. Not only the letter, but also the enclosures. So just wanted to. I think we circulated a draft today. So um, wanted to open it up for those of you who've had an opportunity to look at the most recent draft. What is what's missing in there? How would you like to proceed? So I open it up to the floor. John.
I'd like to propose one amendment, mostly for tone. In the second to last paragraph, there is a sentence that says, we will do our part and we expect you to do your part. I would move that we strike that. I think the we will do our part is duplicative of the prior sentence that we support it. We've, said that on many occasions, and I think, and we expect to do your part is not the tone that we're looking to send to motivate and encourage and advise the board.
Okay. Second.
And this is Mike.
Mike, go ahead.
It sounds like my cue, and I certainly want to take account of the tone concerns that many people have, and I certainly came out with both guns blazing because I didn't like what I heard at the board meeting. But I want to just say I believe I have seen no evidence that a sweet tone gets a result. And so I'm not trying to be oppositional in a way that will get us dismissed, but I am more than 3 years into us looking for just the right tone. And now I'm believing it's not really about tone. It's about the issue we just discussed before. Where does the responsibility and accountability reside between the board and the manager and the folks who manage programs in the county? I think that's a complicated answer. And I think in this particular instance, we may need the board to direct the manager and the manager to direct other people to do this. And I'm not sure how one makes that happen, but it's not by being quiet and excessively polite, in my opinion. So what are we trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to get the board to make a time-bounded assignment to the manager?
So what I would say is that I don't think this letter is quiet at all as written. I think it's very pointed. I think it's very assertive. But as a commission that's appointed by the board to advise the board, I think some of the questions you have, Mike, I share. I just don't think it's appropriate for that to be an action of the commission. And that's just where I'm at. So.
Do I hear a second on the amendment? Kevin, second?
I second.
Okay. Gary, did you want to make a comment? Oh, you're muted right now. That's all right.
Oh, you hear me now?
We can. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Not only do I second that, I want to echo what John said. When I was reading through the draft, that phrase right there, and we expect the county to do the same, that really jarred me. I think that's probably beyond our position. I think the strongest we could probably say if we wanted to have something of that nature in the draft would be along the lines that we call on the board in our advisory capacity to more closely look at whatever. I think that's the strongest we could possibly say, but I had the same reaction that John did. I thought that was an inappropriate tone to be taking in our letter. And the alternate language I suggested might be a finesse on that if we still wanted to do that, but I think we could do without it as well.
Just striking it. Okay. John. Thanks, Gary.
Mhm.
John Johnson. We've got
Yes.
three Johns. Go ahead.
I know. I agree. I brought up tone before in the reviews of it, and I think striking that part would probably be the best way. Like I said before, I'm not too sure of the exact tone we try to use now, but because I'm new. But generally in writing, for government papers, I avoid the big ones like that.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on the specific? Just what we're suggesting is to delete that sentence at the moment.
And I would also say earlier in the document, we also state that it is the duty of the county board to act and protect and to preserve that right. So we are laying out an argument of duty.
Yeah. An expectation, I think.
Yeah.
It's an outline of expectation. Phil,
And
do you want to?
also, the next sentence says the tech commission implores you to examine the digital policy. So I think, that's pretty strong language right there. So.
Okay. Phil, do you want to comment on this particular?
Yeah, I wrote you a note earlier about the final paragraph.
Yes, we included
Been
it.
a couple of changes.
Did you want to make a change to
my
what you
wonderful
wrote, Phil?
words? The word "such" was left out in the second sentence. Can you hear
Phil,
me?
could we complete this one and then let's get to that, unless it has specifically to this sentence that we're going to vote on deleting. Do you want to hold your comment for a moment?
I have no comment on that sentence. Sorry, Mary.
Oh, that's okay. Hold steady. I'll get back to you as soon as we get this. Okay. So, on the table at the moment, is on the floor at the moment is deleting that sentence. And John, it's not right in front of me. You just want to read it out so everybody knows, and then you can vote. We'll take vote.
Sure. So the motion again is in 1, 2, 3, 4, paragraph 5. The sentence, "We will do our part and we expect you to do your part." The motion is to remove that sentence and make no other changes.
Okay. Michael, did you have a comment about this before we go to vote? Or are you in line to talk about something else?
Well, I had problems with the first 3 paragraphs, and they mostly fell into the category of clarity.
Okay, can we vote on this and then come back?
You can table that. Yeah, you can hold that.
All right, so Phil is first and then you. Okay. All right. All those in favor of deleting this sentence, could you say aye or raise your hand on the reaction?
Aye.
2, 3.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, 1 abstention. Okay. All right. So Phil, let's get to you. You wanted to go to the last paragraph and then Michael goes to the first 3.
As I promised not to get involved with the first paragraphs, I will turn to the one I wrote the last paragraph, which is a subject of great importance to me, that we act in context ultimately of a comprehensive plan for information technology, which I believe is the name of the broad subject that everybody would understand. To call it a digital plan, I believe, really means not much to anybody, and digital is just an adjective with lots of associated ambiguity.
Hey, Mary, and team.
Sir?
Hello? Who's saying, who is that? Somebody said Mary and team. I don't know who. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Phil. I'm not sure. I think somebody else was trying to get us, but let's go forth.
Okay.
So Phil, what you're saying is change it back to information. You want everything information technology that says digital in that last paragraph.
Yes, and a word "that" was dropped out before the word "work" in the very last sentence.
Okay.
Urge the board to direct that work begin. I believe it works to be really, really clear on what we want the board to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other change that got made is in the second sentence. It originally said such plan would go far to establish a baseline of digital trust.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about a plan, we're talking about a very specific community supported comprehensive plan. That is exactly what we do not have. And I would like to reinforce that that's what we're talking about, not just any old A plan.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
what you're suggesting, I think, is three things. You want to put back such where A is, so it's such plan. Then you want to replace where digital is used, replace with information technology, and then insert that in, I'm not certain which, it's the third or fourth sentence. Can you read that where that is, that work?
The very last
The last
sentence.
sentence, okay. Okay, so those are the three
Once again, we
suggestions, right?
strongly urge the board to direct that work.
Mhm.
The word "that" is not there.
Okay. So those are the
And
three
it's just,
things, right, Phil?
and if you just wanted to say IT plan, that would be fine with me. But I am bothered by calling it a digital plan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
No, that's fine. So those are the three things, right? And Phil, would you mind just reading out those three sentences so people can hear what with the changes that you're suggesting so that they can.
So the first one would have, after referring to what is not there as a community-supported comprehensive plan for information technology, the second sentence, whether long, begins with such plan would go far to establish a baseline of digital trust.
And you want to change that to information technology trust.
No, I
I,
think this word digital trust
I,
actually works rather well there. That's my proposal, to leave that.
Got it.
And then in the very last sentence, it would simply say, we strongly urge the board to direct that work begin on a broad IT plan without further delay. And I have, in the interest of all of us, just to plant the idea that we're all in this together.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a second for those changes? And second, Jackie seconded. Um, and any comment about this particular the really change back to what Phil has recommended? Any
I
Martha?
have,
Did you have a comment about this?
No.
Okay. All
I
right.
have a comment.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
And Phil, you know I support this wholeheartedly. My concern is in the context of this particular issue about surveillance in public parks. Does this offer the board the opportunity to say, because we won't get involved in a comprehensive plan, therefore we won't do the right thing in the privacy in parks issue?
I didn't hear you clearly. Are you talking about the use of this expression, establish a baseline of digital trust between citizens and their government?
No, I think he
No,
was referring to the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, my fear, Phil, is that we're trying to write to them with some urgency, in my opinion, about not allowing privately owned sensors to be trained on the public park or any other park in Arlington. My fear is that even though I agree with what the ask is here, that it might avail the board of the opportunity to say, we don't think we need to do anything with privacy. If we do it, we'll do it in the context of a comprehensive plan, but we're not doing a comprehensive plan. So I want to make sure this doesn't work against our short-term purpose. I support what you're asking for. I'm worried about in the context of this letter. Does it work for us or against us?
I
So it's a
don't think
timing
anything
issue.
in that final paragraph negates anything in the opening paragraphs. If it's clear, and again, I'm not going to get involved in the wording here because I understand the issues. If it's clear what we're asking the board to do with regard to privacy, the final paragraph simply says, please, for God's sake, let's begin to work on a community-supported comprehensive plan for all of IT, which would include privacy protections and a whole bunch of other rather important things.
Yeah.
I don't see that there's a conflict, and I believe to not refer to the need for a comprehensive plan, however daunting that may seem, is just a cop-out on our part. It's really a denial of our fundamental responsibility to over-dramatize it just a bit.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments about this? Michael, do you have comments about this last paragraph, or is that the hand for when we talk about the other 3 paragraphs?
Actually, it's the first 4 paragraphs, but no,
Okay.
I have no objection to the final paragraph.
Okay. All right. Any other comments about before we I think did we get a second? We did get a second, right? Jackie seconded, right? Yeah, right. Any other Gary, you have a comment, right? You're not you're muted at the moment.
Thank you. I
There
think
you
we're
go.
better. Yeah, just a question for the group on the last sentence. In the interest of all of us, do we want to leave it at that, or in the interest of all citizens of Arlington County, or Arlington County citizens? I could have it either way, but just in the interest of all of us.
You're
I'd put
being
it to a vote
specific.
out there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Phil, what do you think of that friendly amendment to what you suggest?
In the interest of all citizens of Arlington County, or in the interest of all excuse me, Arlington County citizens.
Yeah, I kind of left it vague like this because I'm not quite sure who we do represent. You know, we're not really representatives of the citizens. We're people that applied to be on this commission and were accepted by the board. So that's kind of why I put it this way. But I'm not in love with it. If you have a better idea, Gary.
I can go either way. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Okay.
I vote to leave it. Just put the idea out there that we're all in it together. Members of the commission, the general public, the board, the staff, everybody concerned with this broad topic that nobody seems to want to grapple with.
As the seconder, I agree.
Okay. All right. So let's take it to vote then. Is everybody clear about what that last paragraph says? As suggested, as recommended? All right. All those in favor? Yeah, putting your hand up does help. Yes, thank you. Okay. All those opposed? Do I hear any opposition? Any abstentions? All right. The amendment carries. So let's make sure, Phil, that you send that to Frank and to me so that we make sure and put that back in.
What was the tally, Mary? I'm keeping notes on the motions and votes for you.
Yeah, the it was
I probably didn't have my hand up, so I'm sorry. But I'm confirm. Yeah.
There were no no abstentions or so it was all.
And I did have one editorial comment. I'm not sure it requires a vote, but we went to referring to ITAC as Tech Commission throughout the letter, so I think we ought to substitute tech commission for ITAC in the first sentence of Phil's
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yep, good
That's
idea to
just
be
an
consistent.
editorial comment, not
Yep.
need for substantive change.
Right, exactly. And I know, Michael Cornfield, you made some edits in that regard as well. So we'll make sure. But Michael, now we can go to the first 4 paragraphs.
So my goal in doing some copy editing was to make the beginning very precise about what we wanted from the board in the very first paragraph, and to say it strongly, but without a tone of confrontation. So let me read it to you.
Great.
We, the county appointed citizen commissioners of Arlington County's Information Technology Advisory Commission, Tech Commission, write this letter pursuant to our advisory charter. So we're not representing everybody. We're doing something pursuant to our advisory charter. We express the Tech Commission's support for a collaboration with the Planning Commission to develop a privacy policy for the county. So I'm building on what Board Member Garvey suggested. Then I wrote,
Uh-oh. Michael, sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. I was trying to lower your hand, and you're going to have to unmute yourself. Michael?
unmuted.
There you go. You're fine.
Okay, where did I?
Garvey was your
Okay.
last.
So
Right, go
so I have a very short 2-sentence first paragraph, and the ask builds on what she suggested. Collaborate with the Planning Commission to develop a privacy policy for the county. Then second paragraph. Comments made about personal privacy at the board's April 23rd, 2022 open meeting indicated interest in such an initiative. The topic arose in response to citizen voiced concerns about personal privacy in the public space on the Amazon campus. Some comments suggested that there is nothing the county can do to stem the tide of ubiquitous digital information gathering. We respectfully and strenuously disagree. Then back to the third paragraph is largely the same. And then the fourth paragraph I rewrote, and here's what I wrote. There are numerous aspects of county policy to consider when attempting to calibrate a balance among security, privacy, profit, a word I added, and convenience. In addition, Arlington County has some unique features to consider. As the home to the Pentagon and others in the national security community, the life patterns of our citizens are not only of interest to entities that can profit from the data, but also foes who oppose our way of life. As a leader in the digital industry, the elite workforce we seek to attract and retain want to live in a place with ethically responsible standards and practices. So my goal here is just to tighten the prose. That was my goal, and I tried to strike a forceful but non-confrontational tone, and then the rest is sort of broader, and I have no suggestions beyond those first 4 paragraphs. And I
made it better. You made it better from my perspective. Thank you.
Okay, and I sent it to you, Mary, and I just
haven't. I've been back to back, Michael. I'm sorry, I haven't.
No, that's fine. I'm just telling you that you have a copy.
Okay, good. That's good. All right. Anyone second? So we can get it on the floor to discuss. Gary? Okay, Gary seconds. All right. Any questions or comments for Michael on that?
Yeah,
John?
would you accept a friendly adjustment to the amendment to split the edits to the paragraphs into 2 motions? Because I think I can fully support the first paragraph edits, but I think the second paragraph edits are the other paragraph I'd like to talk about in more detail.
Sure.
Okay, so we're looking at the first paragraph right now. Any comments on the first paragraph? Gary, did you have a comment on the first paragraph? Go
Can
ahead.
we just have a clean read on the first paragraph, please?
Yep. Great. Michael, could you do that for us?
Yep. We, the county appointed citizen commissioners of Arlington County's Information Technology Advisory Commission, open parentheses, Tech Commission, close parentheses, write this letter pursuant to our advisory charter. We express the Tech Commission's support for a collaboration with the Planning Commission to develop a privacy policy for the county. That's it.
And then you added a second paragraph after that, right? That
I tightened the second paragraph, and what I did was I tried to get it to be less confrontational and more organic in building out of the dialogue.
sure. Could you read that? Because as you
Sure,
first presented, it sounded like it was the same two
Sure,
paragraphs.
I will. Okay. Comments made about personal privacy, and by the way, I removed everybody's name, all the board members' names.
Right.
So you may want to restore those, but I removed them. Comments made about personal privacy at the board's April 23rd, 2022 open meeting indicated interest in such an initiative. I'm building on what Garvey said, and in a sense also on what Crystal and Takas said. The topic arose in response to citizen voice concerns about personal privacy in the public space on the Amazon campus. So I'm not limiting it to that topic, but I'm noting that that's how it came up. Last sentence. I'm sorry, two more sentences. Some comments suggested that there is nothing the county can do to stem the tide of ubiquitous digital information gathering. We respectfully and strenuously disagree.
So the motion is to replace the currently as written first paragraph with those two paragraphs in whole.
Well, replace the first two paragraphs.
Right.
So
both those paragraphs are long. The first one,
yeah,
I've done, which is why we're writing this letter. The second is a recap of what was said in that segment that I transcribed from the board meeting, and perhaps I should add a sentence to see these documentary sentence that says, to see these comments, see attachment A or whatever we're calling them.
Yeah, closure, right.
Enclosure A, yes.
The next paragraph in my copy starts with perpetuating the narrative that nothing can be done, ... Are you proposing to make changes to that paragraph as well?
Not really.
Okay.
So those two paragraphs, Jackie and Phil, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm confused because when he said, when you're saying the first two paragraphs, the second paragraph is this perpetuating, which is the list of where it's been tried, and I don't want to delete that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So
I guess what I did is I cut the first paragraph into two shorter paragraphs.
That's what happened, Jackie. You replaced the first paragraph with two shorter ones.
So,
yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, I just realized that that's what I had done.
Yeah.
I've left the paragraph that says perpetuating the narrative. I left that alone.
And what about the next one?
The next one.
There are numerous aspects.
Yes. I have a couple of wordsmithing changes here. There are numerous aspects of county policy to consider when attempting to calibrate a balance among security, privacy, profit, and convenience. I added the word profit.
Yeah. So Jackie had asked if he would amend his motion to just deal with the first paragraph, splitting into two first, because I think that's simpler and cleaner.
Yes, that's much easier.
Okay.
We're dealing with only the first paragraph being split into two, and we're not touching the actual current second paragraph.
No, we're not. So why don't we vote on the first paragraph that's turned into two? And why don't we do one read of the two paragraphs that's now replacing the first long paragraph, Michael, and then we'll go to vote.
Okay. We, the county appointed citizen commissioners of Arlington County's Information Technology Advisory Commission, Tech Commission, write this letter pursuant to our advisory charter. We express the Tech Commission's support for a collaboration with the Planning Commission to develop a privacy policy for the county. Second paragraph, broken out of the first one. Comments made about personal privacy at the board's April 23rd, 2022 open meeting indicated interest in such an initiative. The topic arose in response to citizen voice concerns about personal privacy in the public space on the Amazon campus. Some comments suggested that there is nothing the county can do to stem the tide of ubiquitous digital information gathering. We respectfully and strenuously disagree. End.
Okay, and Mike, I'm sorry that you are muted. I don't know how that's happened. So if you can unmute or come back in. I don't know what is happening. I can't unmute you at the moment. I can disable your mic, but that's not what we want to do. So so I suggest that you come back in. You hang up and come back in. You can do that. If you can hear me. I don't know how you got. There we go. He'll come back in. So as soon as Mike comes back in, we'll go to vote. Thank you, Michael, for doing those, being able to read that. We'll vote on those first. And I'm sorry, we're running over tonight. We don't normally do that. I apologize, but I know this is laborious, but it's good for us to get this through. Phil, you got have a question?
Yes, I'm sorry. The audio is not working very well, so I haven't heard everything, but I do have just a question. I thought I heard the phrase something about requesting the county to develop a privacy policy. Seems to me we got a couple months back a long list of departmental privacy policies. Must have been a dozen of them or more. Is what we're really asking for here a better compendium of the existing policies that don't exist, or are we looking for something which is integrated, that is, includes all our current policies plus anything that needs to be there to fill the gaps, and to have some community input to this? It's a little unclear to me. And if we simply say to develop a privacy policy, seems to me county folk will say, hey, they're not listening. We've already given them 20 county policies on privacy. Just a question.
I think those are terrific comments. And I would strike my word develop and insert revise and broaden the privacy policy of the county.
What if it's more about developing privacy policy recommendations for the board to enact?
Yes.
That's fine too. Like that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, because we're not developing the policy.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to develop the policy.
Excellent suggestions.
Well,
yeah, that's good.
Jumping in with suggestions, I thought you would want to make it say specifically that would address circumstances such as the one in the park, because otherwise we're just coming back and asking them to develop a privacy policy again. And this is the reason why the Planning Commission is on this list, is because it had to do with a
public spaces
development project in public spaces. So
yep. Good idea, Jackie.
It would broaden and expand the language that you use that would address issues such as, this one that was the topic.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Mike, did you have a comment now that we've given you voice?
Yes, and these are friendly comments. I can almost do the first one verbatim. I think we might want to use citizen-centric comprehensive privacy policy, because I think the thing that's missing here is many people in the county, when I listen to them, they seem to suggest that a undisclosed number of policies residing in an undisclosed number of places that can change at any moment is good enough for a citizen. And your responsibility is to know where to find them, and look all the time, because they might be changing. So I think comprehensive countywide policy, kind of like New York City's, says something like citywide privacy practice. So to make it a one-stop shopping experience for a citizen, I think is really important. My other friendly amendment was, what would you think, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I can't do it verbatim off the top of my head, and this is actually an idea John raised, but what do you think about trying to put a timeline on that thing? And I'm sensing urgency, and I would say the urgency could be grounded on the notion that whenever the federal government or the Virginia state government takes action in this, let me use vague term, privacy space, if we already had a policy, it would likely be grandfathered in the way the people of Arlington like it. If we don't get the thing written, it'll get overtaken by the state or the federal government policy.
Well, my reaction is that second thing that you just said is sufficiently important to merit its own paragraph. The urgency and the risk that or the opportunity to have our policy in a position to be grandfathered if and when the federal government acts. I mean, I like all of that. I can't do it off the top of my head, but I don't know that it belongs in the very first paragraph. It seems to me to be an important argument for urgency that deserves a paragraph of its own.
Right. And so maybe just the word soon in your final sentence of the first paragraph would do it. And then you could do another short paragraph that says why doing it soon is important.
Yeah, I think that's terrific.
So why don't we go to vote for the first two paragraphs that have been revised, and I think we might take, let's see how far we can get with that. All right, so the first that you just read, Michael, the first two, and you're adding, go ahead, John.
So I think Phil and I had suggestions about minor edits to clarify what we were going to do with the planning commission, and Jackie did too. So did Michael accept those? And
yes.
If he did, could he reread?
No, I didn't write
proposed?
them down. I'm sorry. I haven't written them down. I've been reading out loud and I did not write everything down, and I'm reacting off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So why don't we, obviously this is recorded so we can easily go back and what's the sense? Do you all want to just look at a fresh doc? We can circulate and then take a census, I'm balancing urgency with wanting to get it right? So how does it, some of these revisions can be made, we can send it around and see how you all feel.
I think that's a proper, prudent course of action.
Okay, Phil?
And I'm not in favor of waiting until the next monthly meeting. I think we should
I think we need to look at a fresh draft. And I also want to ask another question. Let's suppose we had a fully integrated, comprehensive policy. Are we satisfied to have the accountability for implementing and monitoring that policy vague within county staff? Or would we like the board to request the manager to declare the accountable department for implementing all of that policy?
Yeah. So Phil, that gets at kind of some of the policy recommendations that are going to come out of the Clarendon Innovation Zone project. It's not, the recommendation is not create a privacy policy. The recommendation is create a privacy program writ large for the government, so that all of the privacy policies are integrated and appropriate and lined in with our strategic objectives, and use the NIST privacy framework as the foundation for creating that privacy program. So it is not a written document. That is just one tiny aspect of a privacy program. It's staff, it's processes and procedures, it's communication out to the public, It's controlling the data. It's full stack, so to speak. So that's the recommendation and why I think we should not phrase it as create a privacy policy, but we should be talking about making recommendations about privacy policy. Where I think the Planning Commission conversation comes in is exploring the art of the possible about what restrictions and what requirements we can place on private building owners, site plan applicants in terms of their surveillance of the public realm. And I don't know the answer to that because I haven't looked into it at all. But I think that is the nexus with us, with the privacy, with the
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, and that goes beyond potentially areas of control, which is one of the frames that was in our recommended policy framework or comprehensive plan framework that that Mike put forward that we endorsed. That would I think extend into the areas of influence, right? Where we have the ability to influence the private sector through zoning regulations. Do we have the legal authority to limit or control or put restrictions on surveillance of public areas by private entities? I don't know.
When you say we, do you mean we, the commission, or we, the county?
We, the county
County.
government.
The county.
Yeah.
We, the people.
We the people.
Where the power resides, despite what other people might say.
Okay, so I think I'm getting this just a sense of the commission that we will rewrite, and we'll do it before the June meeting. Is that any
yeah.
objections to that?
I just like to continue to discuss the other points before we go to the rewrite so that we're all kind of have the sense of each other, if that's possible.
Yes, that's fine. We will do that.
Mary, I was going to suggest, if you're willing, that, with the input on the recording, that we just authorize you to put the finishing touches on the letter.
Well, if there's any, the only question I have is, are there other recommendations on the other paragraphs besides what Michael has, the profit? Was there concern about, John, did you have concern about you're muted for some reason, or you're not saying anything?
Yeah, I was interested in talking about that other paragraph because as it was presented, I was confused about which paragraph we were talking about. So if we could move to that, but Gary has his hand up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I can't recall as though we voted on the 5th paragraph, the last sentence, ditching the word implores.
That was in the final paragraph, Gary?
The former 5th paragraph. That's the one, the previous sentence where we got rid of, we talked about what we expected the board to do. We ditched that. But the following sentence says we implore the board, and there was some conversation earlier that maybe that was a little bit of overreach.
Okay.
And I would suggest that is deleted or changed to urge or recommend.
Urge or recommend. Okay. Let's make sure that we'll get that on the, thanks, Gary. So, John, you had comment about what is now I think, 3rd paragraph after we go with the exemplars.
Maybe
yeah,
it would help if I just tried to explain what I wanted to do in that paragraph.
Okay,
that paragraph
good,
is that paragraph is the why paragraph. Why we want to do this. One is there are a number of reason number one, there is a number of values to balance: security, privacy, profit, convenience. 2 is the national security argument. 3 is the elite workforce we seek to attract and retain. And then Mike just added a 4th one, which is we should try to act before the federal government does so that we have our policy in place. So to me, that's where the case is made, as it were. And the wordsmithing, I'm open, of course, to suggestion. But I think that four-part argument, there are values to balance, there are national security considerations, there's an elite workforce we want to attract and retain, and we want to get this in before the federal government might set boundaries on what we're able to do. All four of those arguments strike me as very strong.
Compelling.
Compelling is a good word.
I had no concern with the addition of the word profit in the values that needed to be balanced, but when you read it, Michael, I didn't hear you repeat the current end sentence, which is ethical technologists are deciding where to found and grow their businesses, which is really important to me because I think there's an assumption that the surveillance capitalism business model is the only one that can succeed, but that's not actually the case. And I think it's really important, and I would advocate strongly for being a place that attracts people who are founding businesses that are based on more sustainable, ethical business models other than the surveillance capitalism model. And we want to be that place where those people want to come and found and grow their businesses.
I agree with that, and I was condensing. I kept the word ethically. I said the elite workforce we seek to attract and retain want to live in a place with ethically responsible standards and practices.
Right, but it's not just about the workforce. It's also about the entrepreneurs who are founding and growing the businesses, right? So it's the two sides of the economic. It's both.
Okay,
both
then add the word entrepreneurs in there as well. That makes sense to me, John.
Okay. All right. So
okay.
I don't.
So we'll look at the draft. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. Then I think any edits offline to that I'll be fine with as long as the intent is preserved.
Okay. Any other comments before I quickly go to chair update and get you all? You've been really patient. Get you out of here.
Mary, I'd like to propose a closing paragraph.
Uh-huh.
Can I just read it verbatim and you can tell me whether it fits at the end?
Okay. And this is after the current closing paragraph, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I would suggest we say, in our hometown, we should be able to feel at ease, comma, free as we choose from any prying surveillance devices, comma, until we knowingly enter into spaces or engage in activities that merit controls for, and then I have a list that might be a little redundant one, controls for public safety, national defense, or protection of property, but not for harvesting maximum personally identifiable information for private gain.
So, Michael, if you could send that, Mike, if you could send that to Michael, and any initial, so people can read that and get it on their, be able to look at it. Any initial comments to that addition?
Oh, I think it should be sent to you and to John. I think it should be sent to everybody.
No, yes, no, exactly. But Michael, I'm trying to get it. I want to get a draft. I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean just for inclusion purposes?
Yes.
Fine,
I just want to get the.
Yeah.
That's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then everybody will see the draft.
Yes, I have a.
Jackie, what?
Yeah, I have a reaction. You asked for general reactions.
Right.
I'm not sure that last paragraph adds the way we want to. Because it's not as simple as things that are being done for private gain versus things that are done for safety. I mean, the arguments are frequently safety and various other things that some people think are worth it and other people don't. And, selling data is not exactly what this is about. It's about more than that. So that makes it sound like we just want to make sure that the data can't be sold. And I don't think that's the issue. So the contrast that's set up in that last paragraph is one I don't really agree with. I don't think it's, either for private gain or for safety, and there's no confusion between the two.
Okay. So if we could have comment on that thanks, Jackie. If we could have comment on that as we circulate around, that'll be helpful. Gary, is that an old hand or a new hand?
No, actually, it was a new one, and it's
Okay, go
essentially
ahead.
echoing Jackie's comments here. I think we are stronger concluding with something that is a thought, that's a global thought, doing something that's in the interest of everyone rather than focusing on what can be perceived as one narrow interest of concern. If you want to have that, it should be elsewhere in the letter rather than in the closing thought.
Okay. All right.
I think we're just stronger where we are.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thanks everybody. It's always difficult to edit with a group and virtually made it, but you hung in there. So thank you. Just real quickly, I just wanted two updates. One is I mentioned the virtual, excuse me, they're saying that we're going to go back face to face in September. We'll see where we are in terms of the virus. The virus has a vote. There's, as Richard mentioned, there's a look at meeting 25% of the time, so maybe twice out of the year. They're trying to figure out whether that means each of you can go virtual or whether all of us can go virtual at the same time. They're getting clarity around that. So the best thing I should say is stay tuned. Right now, the plan is to come back face to face in September, but we will have more on that as they work out and translate exactly what they think this. And of course, they're going back to Richmond and saying we really want the option of virtual, considering how many people have participated and also how easy it is for people who have childcare issues and all that to access and engage in participate in the commissions. So stay tuned on that. Are all these hands old hands? Michael, I'm assuming.
Mine's new.
Mine's new.
Oh, both new. Okay. Okay, Martha, go ahead.
Okay. This is a comment which I think leads to a question for Frank. I thought we resolved the whole issue of robocalls, and it's definitely back in my house. What happened?
It's an ongoing battle. In fact, the FCC is just taking some additional action. I think I had reported that it was planned to do, and it did. In fact, basically, a lot of these calls are originating overseas. So now the FCC is requiring the international gateway providers to address the issue when they become aware of such robocalls. So it's basically a continuing struggle, and
so how do you make them aware?
Make who aware?
The people making the calls, or no, the FCC. You just said something about they handle it when they become aware.
The international gateway providers.
Okay.
When they become, yeah, but the FCC, the FCC is taking a number of enforcement actions as well. So the enforcement apparatus at the FCC is involved, but there's also other aspects of the federal government that have been involved, and there's actually coordination with state attorney generals. A significant number of state attorney generals are joining with the federal government, the FCC now, in trying to solve this problem.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks. And Jackie, you had a comment?
Yes, back on the meeting requirements.
Right.
I thought I also saw that there was a possibility that the meetings would be hybrid in all cases to allow attendance by people who otherwise couldn't attend.
They will be hybrid for that. Yeah, for people who are
disabilities, but
yes.
I think that might actually be, you might find that that's broader than is often thought of. So for example, I can't drive at night anymore. So evening meetings are, it's not technically considered a disability, but not being able to drive at night means you need to, take an Uber or get someone to drive you or something like that. So it's an added difficulty. So I don't know whether they would consider something like that a reason, but I would suggest that for many people, it is.
Yeah, and the other question that came up, and then I'm chairing a meeting at 8 o'clock, so I need to end. And if you want to continue, I can turn it over to my able vice chair, Frank. The
Who
there
has
is
his 36th anniversary dinner waiting for him.
Yeah, so we are definitely ending, but to your point, Jackie, one of the things they're also looking at is are the county rooms set up the way they need to be to accommodate a hybrid? Because as you know, so that's the other thing we asked, the chairs asked to do that, because obviously, as you know, there's more than one commission meeting a night. So we have to make sure that multiple rooms are available and ready to accommodate hybrid. So stay tuned. So multiple questions around this. So we should get some clarity. Yes, and happy anniversary, Frank, and tell Barbara we're so glad she's being patient. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
my final update is I will be resigning from the commission as of July 1. Frank has graciously and kindly agreed to be interim chair. We are recommending John be vice chair. That will be the board's decision to appoint. Just wanted to let you know that before the June meeting, and it has been my pleasure. I'll say a little bit more in the June meeting considering the time, but thank you all, and we will get the draft letter around to you, and we'll try to accelerate that and get that done before June.
And with the enclosures, right, Mary? Draft letter with the enclosures?
With the enclosures, which we're going to have to, yeah, I haven't seen a final on any of the enclosures yet, so need to do that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there. This is our longest meeting. Thanks, you
I
all.
move we adjourn.
Yeah, thank you. Who seconds?
Second.
Yes.
All right.
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Thanks very much. Take
Thanks
care,
very
everybody.
much. All
Good night.
Good night, all.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.